You know that moment when you're ready for something more serious, but bringing it up feels like trying to defuse a bomb while blindfolded. Today, we're going to break down exactly how to have the talk in a way that feels natural, confident, and actually brings you closer, whether they say yes or no. I've seen this work countless times, and I'm going to share every detail you need to know. Let's talk about why timing isn't just important, it's absolutely everything in this conversation. Have this talk too soon and you might scare them away before they've had a chance to develop real feelings. It's like trying to harvest vegetables before they're ripe. You'll end up with nothing worth keeping. Wait too long and you risk someone else swooping in, or worse, having them assume you're not interested in anything serious. I've seen this happen more times than I can count. But there's a sweet spot, a moment when the timing feels just right. It's when you've built enough emotional connection but haven't let uncertainty fester. We'll get into exactly how to recognize these signals in just a moment. Before we dive into the how, let's make sure you're reading the right signs. These aren't just random feelings. They're reliable indicators that you're genuinely ready for this conversation. First, take a look at your current dynamic. If you're already doing couple things without the label, like regular date nights, meeting each other's friends, and having inside jokes, you're essentially in a relationship without the title. Think about it. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, oh! Next, notice how you think about the future. When you hear about a cool event 3 months from now, is your first thought, I want to go with them? That's not just excitement. That's your brain already seeing them as a constant in your life. Here's a big one. If the idea of them going on dates with other people makes your stomach turn, you're not just being possessive, you're emotionally invested. And that's perfectly normal at this stage. When was the last time you opened a dating app? If you've naturally stopped looking for other options, it's not laziness. It's your heart telling you it's found what it wants. And finally, when their opinion starts carrying more weight than your other friends, when you really care what they think about your new haircut or career move, that's your subconscious telling you they've become special. The difference between a conversation that brings you closer and one that pushes you apart often comes down to these specific approaches. Let's look at what actually works versus what might feel right but usually backfires. I'm going to alternate between effective strategies and common mistakes so you can see the stark contrast. I've been feeling really happy with how things are going between us hits differently than you need to commit. It's about owning your feelings. Either we're official or we're done might feel powerful, but it usually leads to resistance or resentment. Nobody likes to feel cornered. When you say, I care about you and I'd like to explore building something more together, you're sharing feelings, not making demands. This opens the door for genuine connection. All our friends are already couples or everyone else is settling down, creates external pressure that devalues your unique connection. Mentioning specific moments like, when we were at the beach last weekend, I realized how natural everything feels with you, makes your feelings concrete and real. Bringing up old relationships or past commitment issues only creates defensiveness and shifts focus from the present. Adding, what are your thoughts about where this is heading? Creates space for honest dialogue without pressure. Saying, I know you feel the same way, or you must want this too, can make them feel misunderstood or pressured. Approaching with confidence, like, I really value what we have, sets a positive tone that's more likely to lead to a constructive conversation. Having this conversation over text or phone might feel safer, but it robs you both of the emotional connection that comes from being face to face. The setting for the talk isn't just about logistics. It's about creating an environment where both of you feel safe, comfortable, and ready to open up. First, let's talk about where this conversation should happen. You want a place that hits the sweet spot between private and public. A semi-private spot, like a quiet cafe corner or park bench, gives you both the privacy to be honest while keeping things casual. Think about it. You want enough privacy to be real, but not so isolated that it feels intense. Choose somewhere you've been before, maybe that coffee shop where you had your third date, or that park where you always take walks. Familiar territory helps keep nerves at bay. This is crucial. Pick a place where either person can gracefully exit if they need time to process. No trapped in a car scenarios or hour-long hikes. The timing of your conversation can make or break its success. Let's make sure you get this right. Choose a time when neither of you has somewhere to be right after. Nothing kills vulnerability like watching the clock. Avoid having this talk when either of you is hungry, tired, or stressed from work. You want both of you operating at your best. Check that there aren't any big events or stresses in either of your lives that could impact the conversation. No job interviews or family drama days. The mood you set will directly influence how open both of you feel to this conversation. Aim for a relaxed vibe, maybe after a nice meal or during a casual weekend afternoon. You want energy that's calm but not sleepy. Agree to put phones away. Nothing says this matters to me like giving someone your undivided attention. Having a light activity option, like walking or getting coffee, can help take the pressure off direct eye contact and make the conversation flow more naturally. When you break it down, every successful relationship talk stands on these 4 essential pillars. Let's explore why each one matters so much. The first pillar is being completely honest about your feelings, while removing any pressure for them to feel the same way. It's like saying, "Here's where I am," without adding, "and you need to be here too." This balance is what makes the other person feel safe to share their true feelings. The second pillar might be even more important than what you say. It's how you listen. When they respond, resist the urge to prepare your next point. Really hear them, ask questions, and show you're trying to understand their perspective, not just waiting for your turn to speak. The third pillar is crystal clear intentions. Vague hints and subtle suggestions often lead to misunderstandings. You need to be specific about what you want, whether it's exclusivity, meeting family, or just putting a label on things. This clarity helps avoid the "I thought we meant different things" problem down the road. The final pillar is having respect for timing, both yours and theirs. If they need time to think, give it freely. If they're not ready, it doesn't mean they'll never be ready. Understanding that people process relationship steps at different speeds shows emotional maturity and often leads to better outcomes. Let's tackle one of the trickiest parts: how to actually start this conversation without making it feel forced or dramatic. Try something like, "I've been thinking about how much fun we've had these past few months, and I really appreciate how natural everything feels with you." This opener acknowledges your shared history while setting a positive tone. It's like laying down a comfortable blanket before having a picnic. It makes everything that follows feel more natural. Here's another approach. When I think about the upcoming holidays or any future event, I realize I want to share those moments with you. This shows you're thinking ahead while giving them space to share their vision too. It's forward-looking without being pushy. Sometimes direct is best. I want to be honest about how I'm feeling because I really value what we have. This approach prioritizes authenticity and shows emotional courage. It's like opening a door and inviting them to step through it with you. Try this smooth transition. You know, it feels like we've naturally grown into something special, and I'd love to talk about what that means for us. This acknowledges the organic development of your connection while opening the door for definition. Or the simple clarity approach. I've noticed we're both treating this as more than casual dating, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. This observation-based opener invites them to share their perspective without feeling cornered. Here's something that might completely change how you think about timing this conversation. You don't need to feel completely ready, you just need to feel mostly ready and have the courage to take that step. Think about it. If you wait for 100% readiness, you might wait forever. That 70-30 split is your sweet spot. Enough certainty to move forward with confidence, but with room for the natural uncertainty that comes with any big relationship step. It's like jumping into a pool. At some point, you just have to trust that you're prepared enough and take the leap. Let's be real. This conversation can go in several different directions, and you need to be prepared for each one. Best case scenario, they feel the same way. But don't get carried away. Take time to discuss what this means for both of you. Talk about expectations, boundaries, and what changes, if anything, moving forward. It's like getting accepted to your dream job. Exciting, but now comes the important part of defining the details. If they say they need time to process, that's actually a mature response. Give them space, but set a gentle time frame. I completely understand. Would you like to talk about this again next week? This shows respect for their process while ensuring you're not left in limbo indefinitely. If they're not ready for a relationship, resist the urge to negotiate or convince. Instead, ask yourself if you're willing to continue as is. Remember, someone saying they're not ready doesn't always mean not ever, but never put your life on hold waiting for someone to catch up. Sometimes you'll discover you want different things entirely. This hurts, but it's better to know now than months later. Respond with grace. I appreciate your honesty. While this isn't what I hoped to hear, I'm glad we had this conversation. It's like ripping off a band-aid, painful but necessary for healing. The conversation itself is just the beginning. Let's talk about how to move forward, regardless of the outcome. Whether the response was positive or not, give yourself and them a few days to process the new dynamic. It's like letting a new paint color dry. You need to see how it feels in different lights before making any more changes. If you agreed to be exclusive or official, make those changes real. Update dating profiles, be clear with others who might be interested, and start introducing each other in ways that reflect your new status. Actions speak louder than words here. Keep checking in with each other about how the new arrangement feels. Maybe set up regular relationship check-ins, like a monthly temperature check where you both share what's working and what could be better. Think of it as relationship maintenance, not problem solving. Don't lose yourself in the new relationship status. Keep pursuing your individual goals and maintaining your separate friendships. The strongest relationships are between two whole people who choose to be together, not two halves seeking completion. Start thinking about your next relationship milestone, but don't rush it. Whether it's meeting family, planning a trip together, or moving in, let these next steps evolve naturally. It's like planting a garden. You can't rush the growth, but you can create the right conditions for it to thrive.